Welcome into the Barn Baseball Show. Lindsey Crosby joined by Auburn first baseman Eddie Madrigal, making the apparently the incredibly difficult connection from Texas A&M. I don't understand how it is. Again, we can put a spaceship around the moon. We can't get great Wi-Fi in a hotel. But Eddie, thanks for helping on the show, and thanks for chatting about your season so far.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And we talk about having you. We're excited to have you in Auburn. It was a big deal when you committed in the transfer portal because Auburn's had kind of a legacy at first base between somebody you know well now and Sonny DeShera, Cooper McMurray. What was it about Auburn that made you decide, like, hey, St. Mary's has been great. I'm going to come to Auburn versus the dozens of other schools who wanted you to play for them out of the portal?
Yeah, it starts with the staff. Once I first met them, they were just really amazing. And just coming to campus, everything about Auburn just felt like home. The
Mhm.
people there, the school's amazing. As I mentioned before, the staff was just,
Yeah.
they were the best, and it was just hard to turn down.
Yeah, I feel like something that we hear a lot is when guys get on campus, they really fall in love with, I don't know if it's definitely not the weather, right? Although you were coming in, I'm sure middle of the summer, kind of hot and everything, but whether it's the food, whether it's the amenities and things like that, to me, it just feels like, yes, the facilities are great. I love the new locker room, the new meeting room you guys have, all of that. But it feels like it's just, I think you touched on it. It's kind of like a family. Like there's that laid back family atmosphere, but you feel connected to everybody. How does Auburn compare to some of the other, I guess, high school, college, some of the other locker rooms and clubhouses you've been in as far as how the guys interact every day and how close you guys are as a unit?
Yeah, everything we have is amazing. Like I said, Auburn's a special place.
Yeah.
I came with my mom, and not even just talking about the baseball stuff, but just as Auburn as a whole.
Yeah.
Um, it kind of just passed the mom test in a way.
Mhm.
So once I got that from my mom, I was like, wow, yeah, I think this would be a great spot to be.
If mom's on board, it's a little bit easier. And I think the
Mhm.
only thing that might be a little bit tough there is travel sometimes flying into Atlanta. You got to make it 90 minutes down from Atlanta to Auburn and everything. But other than that, I think we're really good. Um, how much I don't love to bring it up, but how much have you taken in your baseball journey from your cousin Nick? And his time in the major leagues. I believe he was with the Mets most recently. I don't want to hold that against him as a Braves fan, but kind of how has he helped you be the guy that you are now for Auburn baseball?
Yeah, growing up, we always hit together.
Mhm.
Even just like doing defensive stuff, ground balls. He was always doing a bunch of ground balls. So kind of just growing up, just seeing his process with everything, that's really helped me out a lot. Um, the way he hits, just all the little things that he does, I kind of picked up on, and it's helped me to this point. So it's been great to be with him.
Yeah, it's always a nice little connection there, and I feel like a lot of Auburn guys have some sort of relationship with somebody there who's kind of been that mentor figure. And I'm glad to hear that yours was, hey, it's a big leaguer. Um, so coming in, a lot of high expectations for you taking over at first base. For like I mentioned, some program legends and Sonny and Cooper McMurray. How has it been playing first base with Sonny DeShera around every day? Right? Like, is there moments where he sometimes reminds you like, hey, I would have made that play? Or is it just one of those like how much of it is him busting you down a little bit? And how much of it is him giving tips of like, hey, this is what I did in that situation. This is what I've dealt with and helping you navigate the transition to the SEC.
Yeah, having Sonny, it's been awesome. We're super grateful to have him.
Yeah.
He's always bringing a great vibe to the team every day, and we really appreciate that. But even on the baseball side of it, with him, being at different spots in college and being in pro ball, just freshly out of pro ball,
Mhm.
kind of just having that experience and sharing that amongst all of us has just been great. Because everybody has their ups and downs in their careers, so
Yeah.
just hearing that from him has been awesome, and we're super grateful to have him.
Yeah. How difficult was it with that ACL injury in the fall? I know that like I said, there were a lot of big expectations for you, and they thought that you were really going to kind of open the season as one of the anchors of the lineup, and then to get hurt and be unavailable. I know you've had injuries before. I think it was your redshirt sophomore season at St. Mary's you had an injury, but what was that? Obviously, it's devastating, but what was that recovery process like, and kind of what did you do when you got that news that, hey, you've torn the ACL, you're going to be out for a while? What was that like?
Yeah, when it first happened, it was kind of just surreal. It didn't really hit me until honestly, until I really got surgery. That's when it really sank in.
Yeah.
Um, but after that, it's really easy to kind of get down on yourself in a way.
Mhm.
But I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. So kind of just having that mentality helped me out a lot. And it was definitely a grind. But the staff has done a great job to help me. The training staff, everybody has really helped me a ton, just to get me back to where I am. Um, like I said, it was definitely there's ups and downs throughout, rehab processes, but I'm definitely thankful for the staff.
Yeah. And you make your debut against Texas late. I think it's a 5-0 loss, but you get a double in your first at bat, and they kind of ease you in some DH time, some first base time. Uh, it feels like this was a little bit of a quick return from an ACL tear. Do you feel like you're 100%, or do you feel like there's a little bit of stuff that maybe right now isn't a great example of how good you can be in certain areas, like something you're still trying to work around? Is it, how's the health? How do you feel about where you are in the rehab from the injury and recovery?
Yeah, I definitely feel. I mean, obviously, I don't feel like as sharp as I used to be coming off of,
Right.
an injury like
Yeah.
that, but I feel great. I'm just grateful to be out there playing. Like I said, credit to the
Yeah.
staff. They've done a great job, and yeah, I feel great.
Yeah. And I guess, how were you able to stay involved with the program and the day-to-day of the guys during the rehab process? I know that, like, everybody approaches that differently. Some guys make a point, they want to be around the team all day. Some guys want to get their work done and get out of the way so they're not feeling like they're left out. What was your process as far as attacking your rehab, doing the things the training staff said you had to do, but also kind of staying connected with the team that you were still new to, and was beginning to navigate a tough start to the season? Kind of how did you balance those two things?
Yeah, with the rehab, I kind of just wanted to get everything done before like practice and all the games
Yeah.
started because I just wanted to, be there for everyone. So whether that's, say we have practice, me coming in early, doing all my rehab stuff,
Mhm.
whether that's the PT part of it, the ground ball side of it, or like the hitting. I wanted to get all that stuff done early so I can be, fully present with the guys while I'm there. I didn't want to like show up to the field and do rehab while everybody else was practicing because I wanted to kind of take in what everybody else was doing. So
Yeah.
it definitely just it added a little bit more to my plate, but I was perfectly fine with that because as long as I was there, for everyone else, I was fine with it.
Yeah. Kind of, longer days for you getting there earlier and doing a lot of work and stuff. Do you feel like being in the dugout during a lot of the games when you weren't able to play, I'm sure that that wasn't incredibly comfortable. All right. You're a competitor, you want to be out there, but how did you try to spend that time? Were you trying to be the hype man? Were you trying to be like, hey, here's a tip or here's something that I spotted? How were were you trying to be like the motivator? What was your approach to some of that downtime in the dugout? Because everybody's different, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I didn't really change too much. I was kind of just being myself still, but I was
Yeah.
helping out on the infield positioning side of it.
Yeah.
So while we're out on defense, I was helping just position the infielders. So depending on where we're at in the lineup or who's up, I would position guys in a certain spot. So that kind of helped me, um, I guess, get more in tune on the defensive side of the game while I was
Mhm.
rehabbing. So that helped out a lot.
Yeah, and now you're here. There's no restrictions, and you've played a pretty important part. I'm thinking about that Florida series, right? Or I'm sorry, yeah, like Florida series hits in all three games, really doing a lot to help this team through. As you're kind of getting to the end of this SEC schedule, you Texas A&M obviously this weekend, two other series, and Butch talked yesterday about this could be anywhere from we're staying home in the postseason to we're a national seed. What's been the message as somebody who's been through multiple years of college baseball? What's been the message to some of the younger guys, I guess from you, from some of the other veterans about, hey, here's what we need to do in this final stretch of the season?
Yeah, one just finished strong, obviously. And it's kind of it's not about like looking ahead or, thinking about the past. It's just about being in the present. Coach talks about that a lot, and
Mhm.
I think it's really important. Even just like all the little things matter. It's not us thinking about, oh, the score or anything like that. Just, we got to take it pitch by pitch, and just go from there and just keep our heads down.
Yeah, and it's I feel like for Auburn baseball, it's always kind of been it's more about what we do this weekend than what the other team does. Like we have Auburn baseball's always had the talent on the pitching side, especially this year. The offensive side, the defense is usually pretty good. And so it's always been more of, hey, we have to stay focused. We have to play our game, and it doesn't really matter what they do. Um, and I think that philosophy has been tested at times this year. We've seen some of these road series. I'm thinking about maybe Alabama. It was a sweep. Um, how have you seen from some of those tough weekends? Texas weekend was tough. Alabama weekend was tough. How have you seen the young players on the team kind of respond and bounce back from that adversity? And what role have you and some of the other veterans played in that?
Yeah, when you go through bumps in the road, it's always an opportunity to learn from it. And especially young guys, they've done a great job of learning from it.
Mhm.
Our whole team, really. So kind of just using those moments to learn from it and be better in the future has been really important.
Yeah. Something that okay, we've been doing the show now for a few seasons, and something we always like to ask the players when they come on is who is the guy on this roster that we're not talking enough about? Like publicly, the media, the fans maybe don't realize how
Mhm.
good this guy is for some reason. Bad luck, lack of opportunity, or whatever. Who is that guy on this roster right now that you just been like, this kid's a dude and nobody knows it? Like, we need to be talking more about him.
Ooh, yeah, that's a really good question. Um,
That's why we ask it, man. You get the
I mean,
tough questions here, dude.
I don't know. I don't know if he doesn't get talked up enough about, but I would say just Eric Guevara. He's really, he's just really good. He's a great dude, great player, and he brings it every day. He's a hard worker as well.
Mhm.
He's just everything that you look for in a player, and he's just amazing to be around.
Yeah, he had a similar situation to you his freshman season where he got hurt in the fall and kind of had to rehab and come back during the schedule. But I've definitely noticed as his bat has started to just get from it was always a good bat, but he started to go from kind of good to great. And he's been that guy, it feels like at times in the last couple weeks that he's set the tone for the offense, going out there, 3-hit game, 4-hit game, you know, big home runs, that kind of stuff. And having a guy like that in the lineup, what does that do for you as a veteran, a guy who can drive in runs? What does that do for you knowing that, like, hey, this dude's probably more likely than not going to be on base? And, it does that lessen the load of mentally what you have to do? Like, I don't need a home run now. I just got to put a ball in play and Eric's going to score.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely helps when you have a player like that who's always on base. It definitely makes it a lot easier for the offense. Um, but he's one of our captains, and he's
Yeah.
just amazing all around. So um, he's a great player.
Yeah, I feel like on a team with a Chris Rembert, Chase Fralick, Guevara kind of gets left out a little bit, and I do think he's deserving of that praise. So I do love that call by you. Last couple minutes here, I want to give you a little bit of a rapid fire about this team and about your season so far. Favorite SEC road venue you've been in so far this year?
Ooh, um, I'd have to say Florida. We had some really good weather there,
Yep.
and it was my first time to the state of Florida, so I think it was pretty cool to experience that state. So I'd say Florida.
Yeah, Condren Family Ballpark's a nice one there. Who's the funniest guy on the team?
Ooh. I think I'm gonna have to say Todd Clay. He's really funny.
Okay. Who thinks he's the funniest guy on the team?
Mm, who thinks he's the funniest?
Yes.
Oh man, that's a good one. Let me think here. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus here. I'll have to think about that one.
Okay.
I'll have to
Okay.
think about that one.
All right, there we go. Favorite home run you've ever hit?
Um, I'll
Doesn't
say the
have to
one
be
this
Auburn.
year. The one
Okay.
I'll say the one this year against Sanford. That was a good one.
Was it because that was, if I remember right, I think that was your first one, if I remember right? Yeah. Is it
Yeah,
because
it
it was the
was.
first one? Yeah.
Yeah. I'll
That'll
have to
do it.
say that one.
What's the greatest individual game you've played? Like, did you go 4 for 4 with 2 homers, or like what's
Mm.
the greatest individual game you've ever played?
I can't remember my exact stat line,
Mhm.
but there was one game I hit. I want to say it was either a solo homer or a two-run homer, and then a couple of bats later in the same game, I hit a grand slam. I don't remember my exact stat line for the game, but I'd say it was that one.
That's not a bad choice. Yeah. Okay. I, th- I can't really do the would you rather hit a homer or rob a homer thing because that's an outfielder question. But would you rather hit a grand slam or have an unassisted triple play?
I think grand slam. I don't think there's nothing better than hitting a home run. Just the feeling is it's unmatched.
There we go. All right. Final question: which MLB player, and I guess it could be your cousin, but which MLB player have you modeled your swing and your game after the most?
Yeah. I'd probably say I really like he's from Northern California also, but I really like watching Tyler Soderstrom. My swing's not quite like him, but I just really like his swing and watching him hit. So I'd probably say him.
Okay, so one more follow up then. In that case, are you going to try a little bit of outfield too? Because he went from catcher to first base to Gold Glove candidate and left. You think you've got that in you when you go to the next level?
Yeah, absolutely. I've had some outfield time in my college.
Yep.
So I think I could definitely be out there.
Fantastic. All right. Eddie, thanks for joining the show. Thanks for giving us a few minutes of your time. Best of luck this weekend in College Station, and safe trip back. That's not a fun place to be for anybody. So I hope you guys make it back okay. And best of luck the rest of the season.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.